The topic of my today's speech is the cult of Putin, how we lost the part of our family due to Russian propaganda, due to brainwashing. And I want to give you a short perspective on how brainwashing works from what I learned so far, because I'm trying to crack my head, finding a solution why part of my family was influenced by propaganda and brainwashed and part of my family wasn't. And I will explain to you how the cult functions, what are the main factors of the person's involvement in the cult. Because the cult of Putin is a totalitarian cult, and most totalitarian cults, they have the same factors of involvement, which we will talk about briefly today, unfortunately, but at least to give you some perspective on that. So this is the picture just created by Gemini based on my description. As you can see, it's Putin sitting in the bathtub. It's just a caricature. Washing the brain, washing the person's brain. A lot of minions who just are doing the tasks for the main cult leader, who is holding the world in the fear of using the nuclear weapon, the other sources, and holding a small model of the rocket. So this is just the caricature that I can send later to the group. But let's talk about the problem. I come from Luhansk. Luhansk is a temporary occupied city of Ukraine. Russia occupied it in 2014, coming on tanks through the city center of Luhansk and occupying the most territory. So now it is still occupied, and my father stays there since 2016 when he got back from Kherson. On the first day of the full-scale Russian-Ukrainian war, when Russia started bombing Kyiv, I wrote a message to my father that, Father, Russia started bombing us. And the message I received back from him was, it's gonna be okay. Смерть to Banderovci, so death to Banderovci. Which is basically wishing death to me as well, because I have the pro-Ukrainian position. So since then, I stopped communicating with my father for 3 months. But due to my natural curiosity and trying to manage the situation and trying to communicate with him, because it's still my father and I didn't want to lose him. In 3 months, I wanted to check if their perception changed in a way. And I called him, and instead of hearing like, how are you? How are the things going? Are you still alive? Instead of that, I heard, well, first of all, I started speaking Ukrainian with everyone, because before that I talked only Russian to my parents because of the situation in Donbass. But so he shouted, speak Russian to me, which I refused. And then he blamed me for sending the Ukrainian missile to their house. So I was also like managing sending Ukrainian missiles as a result. Since May 2022, I stopped communicating with my father. I haven't talked to him since. It's been several years already. He is not interested if I am still alive. I don't contact him, and well, that's how it is. A lot of families experience the same. A lot of Ukrainian families have family members in Russia and Belarus, and they whether stopped communicating or they still have this, political kind of tension. They don't talk about politics, even when they talk to their family members, but it is very hard. Why it is very hard, I will explain it briefly when I will talk about the factors of cult involvement. So why it bothers me? Because no one talks about it. No one is talking about deprogramming of the members of the totalitarian cult of Putin. And no one creates the strategy on how to get these family members back, how to stop brainwashing, what are the ways that we can do. It is a very hard question, but no one even tries to work on that. So let me start with the brief quotes from the book Deprogramming Victims of Brainwashing and Cult-like Mind Control, written by Dylan Clearfield. So what he suggests is that from his experience working with the former cult member, and deprogramming of every cult member, depending on the how deep this person was involved in the cult, takes 15 months. 15 months to work constantly with the psychiatrists, with the specialists who will help this person get back to normal life. But what he says that this might sound like a long time, but people who are left under control of the subjugator, in this case, it's the cult of Putin, often never escape him. So they never escape this mind control. They need constant support to deprogram. The main factors of the cult involvement, there are several stages, and I will name them and explain it briefly how it functions. The first stage is removing the victim from his or her support group. At first psychologically, then physically. The support group includes friends, family members, or anyone the victim could be influenced by. When Russia occupied Luhansk, the part of Donbass, the first thing they did, first of all, the electricity was off for 6 months. Any type of connection of my mobile connection, first Kyivstar stopped working, which is Ukrainian mobile provider. Then Vodafone worked only in several places. You had to go up the hill to reach your family in the Ukrainian controlled territories. So they cut the connection, Ukrainian connection. They switched to Russian mobile providers, or they created, as far as I remember, Luha.com, which was controlled by Russia and started with +7 as most of the Russian phone numbers. So that's how the control was step by step taken by the Ukrainian forces. After that, they start severe brainwashing by television, which included main propagandists like Maxim Grigoriev. Please remember or write down these names because no one will tell you. Maxim Grigoriev, Olga Skabeyeva, Dmitro Kiselyov, and Vladimir Solovyov. These are the main Russian propagandists, especially Olga Skabeyeva, who has the show on Russian television, which is was broadcasted all the time since 2016 on the television in Donbass, and the families were impacted by those messages. The second factor, which Dylan Clearfield mentions, is attack of the victim's self-esteem and convincing him or her that his or her mental or spiritual problem, any kind of problem, which only the subjugator can cure with the special abilities. So creating like this environment, Russia is the best thing that can happen to you. Yeah. So they are trying to promote this message. They created, maybe you heard about this Russian concept of the small person. Like, we are small people, we cannot control anything. Everything is decided in advance for you. So you cannot impact the world. You cannot do anything. So we will solve all of your problems. You know what Russia did? They bombed the city. They came to this place and they said that this is a Ukrainian missile. Ukraine is bombing you. So we are the solution. So they bombed, they came, they fixed the houses, and they said, we are the heroes. Please greet us. We will save you. And that's how they started, impacting the mental perception, of the world and of the Russian-Ukrainian war from start. Because the war started in 2014. I remind you that. Yeah, it hasn't started in 2022. It started in 2014. The third stage is forcing the victim to perform manual tasks of a humiliating and degrading nature, potentially the performance of sexual activity that subjugator controls. Sexual activity. Why sexual activity? Not only, but rape as the weapon of war was used by Russia multiple times, including the Bosnian War, where they were involved as Russian volunteer divisions, Russian Volunteer Division 1, Russian Volunteer Division 2, which was the deputy commander of that division was Igor Hirkin, which was later sent to Donbass as the head of the, basically armed groups, Russian armed groups, who gained the partial control and temporary occupied Donbass. So Igor Hirkin, who was not punished at the time of the Bosnian War when the Serbs were the war on court, the international court, they were not punished and later sent to Donbass to perform more war crimes. So, and rape was used in the Bosnian War. Rape was used as a weapon of war in, for example, Bucha, that from what you know, like from what you all heard. Children, women were raped, and this was, promoted. And even the security service of Ukraine recorded the messages where Russians were proudly saying, women were saying to Russian soldiers that, "I'll go and rape women." Like, this was used as the weapon of war. So it proves that it is true. The fourth factor is blatantly sadistic abuse, both physically and psychologically. It is true because it involves propagandistic messages starting from eating Russian babies and telling the world some crazy things which were believed at that time. It is hard to tell, a lot of these examples you can find in the fact-checking resources that published, but the most popular was, of course, eating Russian babies. Yes, it's it was the one of the top messages, yeah, at that time. And the fifth factor, the transfer of most of all of the victim's finances to the control of the subjugator. The victim gives absolute control. So financially, Donbass was also under Russian control. How it started? It started very simple. When the territory was divided to the temporary Russian occupied with these checkpoints where you should have crossed, the pensioners, like the retired people, they had to cross this border, the checkpoints, to get identified, this is identification process by the Ukrainian controlled territory to get this pension. Later on, Russia said, you will get the pension, the Russian pension. We will transfer and you will get the money from the Russian government, which is totally silly because this was the point of the control. Okay, so we don't have to go to that territory. We don't have to cross anymore because we will get this money. Some of people got 2 pensions at that time. Yeah, so they also received Ukrainian. They went to the through the identification process. They got back to the occupied territory. They got this Russian money. So also the rubles, they started like being used actively in Donbass. And when I went to the occupied territory in 2019 to visit my father and to collect some things, we saw that in the supermarkets there were Russian products and also Russian prices. So the ruble was used already. So it proves that financial control was taken by the basically Russian government. So these are the main things. My main message to you is that there are some, like, to conclude, because this is a very complex topic. Brainwashing takes a strategy to fight it. It's, from what I can tell you now, so there are several points that should be done so far. For starters, the first one, in Ukraine, and I think in Germany, in most of the European countries, there are still no specialists, deprogramming, cult deprogramming specialists who work on daily basis with the victims of the totalitarian cults, of any cults that are present in the world right now. So the former cult members, they usually find their own resources, find the psychologists, the psychiatrists who work with them, but it is an individual work. It's not the state programs. It's not, there is no strategy on fighting this, the programming, yes, the brainwashing, the programming of the cult members. So what we need to do, first we need to create this, first of all, the understanding that the cult is a cult. The totalitarian cult has the certain factors of involvement, which can totally be fought, but you need to understand how it works, and you need to create a strategy to get the person back to normal life. So for starters, it's a state strategy and understanding of the brainwashing. The second, involvement not only of the psychiatrists, lawyers, communication specialists. It's the multidisciplinary. It's not just one person doing some things. Yes, not only psychiatrists. It's multidisciplinary problem which should involve the specialists of different fields of science to work together on the strategy and to help these former members of the cult, or even to fight the deprogramming the programming process. So the process of brainwashing as it is realized, so not stopping it at the first stage when the victim is separated from the support group. So it takes time. And also teaching these family members, conducting some trainings, like this is third point, conducting some trainings for the family members, for the support groups who have the cult members of the family, so the members of the family who are involved currently in the cult, how to deal with them, how to talk to them. The number one mistake I made with my father, I was arguing. The number thing that Dylan Clearfield mentions in his book: never argue with a cult member because you will be automatically considered an enemy, which I was. But it is very hard, yeah, when you have when you are at state of the war and you are constantly bombed by Russia, and you want to explain it, you want to share this, you want to tell this person who is on the other side of the country, temporarily occupied territory, you want to explain to them that, okay, it's not we don't bomb ourselves. Russia bombs us. Russia is killing us. Yeah. And you try to explain it, but the person doesn't hear you. And they only distance, the distance between the understanding, it gets even deeper and bigger. So that's what I mean. You need to be taught how to manage, how to speak to these people, because not mentioning the problem is also not an option. Not arguing is also not an option. So you need to collaborate with the psychiatrists to create the exact points that should be applied in this case. And also, for starts, cults in Ukrainian legislation are still called not cults, but religious organizations. So you need to be very specific in the definitions, right? And in the words that you use. Well, this is the main message. And to finish my speech, I just want to tell you that this vyshyvanka was created by my grandma, my mother's mom, who died when I was 4. And she was from Russia, but when she married my grandpa, she moved to Luhansk, and she was impacted by the mother-in-law, the mother of my grandpa, who taught her a lot of things, vyshyvankas included, and Christmas carols and all these things, because my great-grandma survived 3 artificial famines created by the Soviet. She survived. She gave birth to 5 children, including my grandpa, and here I am, talking about Russian propaganda, and I will never stop till Donbass is back in Ukraine. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I will proudly and happily answer.